Hello, Ian here from Blaze Workshop. This is episode 42 of the Harry Potter painting series, and this one we're doing Fleur Delacour. Okay, yeah, so in this one we're doing a full tutorial on how to paint the young lady from Harry Potter. Pretty much sticking to a single colour and then just adding white to it just to build up highlights and a little bit on the skin and the face. So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Let's get on to it. So the first thing to do is to prime the miniature, and I tend to use the zenithal priming method. If you're not familiar with this, look for episode 21 and that'll take you through the whole process. So all the airbrushing has dried now and we're ready to move on to the main colour. So what I've done, I've matched the colour with the box art, and I've come up with this one, Pastel Blue by Vallejo. It's pretty close to the mid-tone anyway. Obviously the highlights will be, we'll be adding white to that to bring that up. But the plan is, because we've done a zenithal prime, if the paint is thin enough, it'll still show underneath. The pre-shading will still show when we apply the paint. So that's the plan. So what I do, I'll show you my process. I get something that I can transfer the paint into the airbrush. Because I want it nice and thin, I'm going to add 5 drops of paint there. Thinner. And this should make it nice and thin. So I've got 4 drops of, 5 drops of paint, about 4 drops of thinner, and it could do with a bit more. So there's another 2 drops in there. Hope you're counting. Right, we shall try that. I'm not entirely convinced that that's thin enough actually, so we'll try it on the base of the miniature. And yeah, that's good, because you can still see the shadow parts and it's not too opaque an application. So we'll transfer this into the airbrush. I've already got a drop of, no I haven't, I thought I had. Here's the airbrush for you. I'll put a drop of flow improver in. I use this one I buy from a local art store. The flow improver stops the nozzle getting clogged, and I'll run through a little bit of it, and then I'll add in the paint. I think we're ready to go. Let's add a little drop of thinner in for luck. Give it a stir. Don't push the paint down in towards the needle. And I'll do a blow back. And we're ready to go. So, onto the lady herself. What I'm after is a nice even coverage, so I don't want to concentrate too long in one area. I shall see what that dries like. Okay, so I'm getting ready to start painting now. Obviously I'm going to start with pastel blue, which is this tone here, and then I've had white on the side of my palette. I tend to use this one. It's pretty much an ink, but because it's already quite liquid, you don't have to thin it down as much. So I'll put a drop of water in the ink. So I started off with a pastel blue, and a little bit of the white goes into it just to get a different tone. And then you add more white and more white again. And the last one is pretty much, well, lighter than sky blue really. If I go up the way, you'll see them better. There we go, that's better. And then pure pastel blue at the top there. So I'm going to start off by adding the pastel blue again, just to bring back some intensity on the figure that we lost with the shading and highlighting. Got to say that the paint, the pastel blue was about 2 drops of that, but I put about 4 drops of water into it just to thin it down quite a bit. So it's in between a wash and a glaze consistency. And I'm just following the folds. I might take the odd look at the box art to see where the highlights are. So the band at there has got quite a highlight on that, so we'll start there. So just thin lines. I'm not going all the way across. Top of the chest there. So basically I'm just layering on a colour. Before we start highlighting. If you notice, I'm staying away from the shadow areas. Okay. So starting on the second tone now, this one here, so there's just a tiny bit of white in there. And we'll go for the same areas that we need to highlight, which is the top of the chest there. And basically every fold. Again, I'm going thin lines there just to build up highlight. Now picking out the folds now. Okay, so carrying on with the highlights, still in the same one with a little bit of white in it. And do a second pass on the chest area. And these folds on the top of the outfit. For the hat, I've started highlighting there. I'm just using small strokes just to highlight one area of it, and I'm doing the same on this side, just for a bit of variation on it. It might look light there, but remember it does dry and it dulls down a bit, so don't worry about it too much. So I'll leave that bit in shadow there. Right, going to go a shade lighter now, so we're down about middle of the little transition we got. So I'm highlighting the same areas, but I'm starting at a different point. So the first highlight was about there. I'm starting about here now. So it's lighter towards the bottom of the dress. Try and create a bit of shadow in this area here, you see. And we can go over it again. And even on the second pass, I'm starting a bit further down, only a little bit. Go from this top line, I'm trying to reinforce that bit, make it stand out a bit. And a smaller area again there. So I've done a few more passes with that last stage, so I decided to add a little bit more white to it. So this is the one I'm using now. As you can see, it's pretty close to the white there. Might not look it on the camera, but it is. And it's very thin. So glazing now. And I'm just concentrating this now on more or less spot highlights now. So it's like the top of the hat there. And the edge highlight. This should come alive now once I put the skin in. It'll look a lot better. So top of the chest. Don't forget the collars. I'll just dot along the top of these folds here. Just make them stand out a bit. Okay, skin next. Kislev flesh for the skin. Just build it up slowly, take a couple of coats to get there. Right, a little extra thing that I've done that you can probably see is I've taken some, it was an old colour called Fenris Grey. It was a foundation paint by Citadel. And it's a bit darker than the Fang. And I added some, let me show you here. There's that one there. I added a bit of flow improver to it. And that will help you if you make any mistakes when you're doing a a line to separate that band there, and use a good point and just run it across. I just want to reinforce it anyway, so I'll go across the top as well. And the good thing, if you add flow improver to it, you can just dip your brush in water and you can blend away any mistakes that you make. I went with another highlight of white, almost pure white along there, and the one underneath it as well, and on the top of the chest. So it's looking a bit better there now, especially the hat as well. Just do little dots, just touch little dots on there, and I've done the same at the back of the hat as well. So it's getting there. Next stage is I've got a sepia wash on my palette for the skin, so I'll just add that now. I don't want to go too heavy because she'll look too masculine. That's the thing with the female faces, you don't want to wash too dark because they'll just look masculine then. We don't want that. Let's get a little bit of shade between the wrist and the cuff. I think we're done there. Ready for the next stage. So the next stage is the tight. So I've got a shade darker with the flesh. I've got Cadian flesh. I'm adding a little bit of black to it. Black wash actually. Just to darken it down slightly. And these are going to be the tights. Let's refocus and we'll go. Okay. No great technique. Just get a nice coverage. Probably take you a couple of coats. Our Lord and Saviour Duncan keeps preaching 2 thin coats. Okay, onto the hair. I've got 50-50 Ushabti bone and Averland sunset. So I'm going for a blondie colour. I like to add a bit of yellow to it, but it's like a desaturated yellow, so it's not going to be, you know, like your bad moon yellow or something like that. It's far too saturated. So you want something like a dirty yellow. And it's more than likely it'll take a couple of coats, because yellow is such a weak colour. To get a nice even coverage, you need 2 or 3 coats, especially if you're going over the top of a dark colour. If you want to save a bit of time, paint the hair white first and go in with the yellow and bone mix. So once this has had 2 coats, I'll then give it a wash with sepia, and we'll be ready for the next stage. So we'll start highlighting the tights now. So if you remember, we were using Cadian flesh with a little bit of black wash in it. So I've kept that original mix, but I've added more Cadian flesh to it. I'm just going to highlight the shin there. And then add more Cadian flesh to it. Highlight. See, I'm pushing the pigment up the shin. So before I go on to do the skin, because I'm coming back to this a couple of days after I started it, I've got some more of that Fenris grey out, and I've thinned it down quite a bit. You can probably see how thin it is. You can just about make it out. And I'm going to be using that to glaze some shadows on the hat. So the shadows are going to go over on the side here, because we've got highlights there and on the back there. I'm going to do a little bit of shadow here just to get a little bit of contrast going. So as I said, it's very thin. There's not very much paint on my brush either. And I'm just going to apply it there and bring it down. And I'm going to do about 2 or 3 passes of this until it builds up. Doesn't look like there's got anything going on there, but you'd be surprised. So just wait for that to dry. Let's give it a bit of encouragement. Got to wait for it to totally dry before you go in again. See, it's still a little bit shiny. Okay. And just a few dots going up the way. Another couple of passes and it should become more apparent, I think. Sorry, as boring as watching paint dry, isn't it? Just make sure you let it dry in between passes. Otherwise you'll pull the pigment up from the previous layer. So I think we're starting to get a little bit of contrast there. So if I spin it around that way, you'll see the light there, and you come around to the shadow there. So that's what we're after. And this time I'm going down on the band of the hat. Now, I don't know if you've noticed, but I haven't made any alterations since the first time I put my brush in the paint. It's all kept within the bristles. I haven't washed it in between passes or anything, so that's how little paint there is on there. So, right, we'll leave that and we'll move on to the skin. So I'll do the eyes first. I'm using the old Citadel Dark Flesh. Trying to think, it'll probably be Morn Fang Brown these days, or something similar. And I just want to put this inside the eye socket, which I can't see from this angle, so I'm guessing. just to darken the socket and line it. A tiny bit on the lips. So I've got Kislev flash. So the main areas I want to concentrate on are obviously the nose, cheeks, top of the lip and the chin. And the eyebrow. I'll do the same, I'll switch to the other side now. I'll do a second coat now. And this time it'll be more towards the tip of the nose, chin, and if you think from the corner of the eye and come down about halfway, so we're highlighting more to the side of the cheekbone rather than going all the way under the eye again. Next layer is Kislev with some Falyed flash added to it. Just need to check out how it goes on. Yeah, that's okay. So, tip of the nose again. Top of the lip. And the other side. I'll do a couple of passes of this. Final highlight is Falyed flash on its own. And to the nose, and I'm going right up into that corner of the eye now. And just a dot on the top lip. Not concerned about getting the cheekbone on this side done, because it obviously is going to be in shadow underneath the brim of the hat. So I'll just go over the nose again and the chin. Just bring your stroke from the side towards the point of the chin. You should get a nice highlight then. Don't forget the hands, so concentrate up the top there with the highlights. And here, and the top finger. I'm not so bothered about the tights because they're going to remain, you know, quite an opaque colour anyway, so I think we might get away with that, so we'll leave that as it is, and I'll do the eyes next. So for the eyes, I always use ivory or any off-white colour will do. Once you get the point of your brush in that corner of the eye, just pull a straight line across. And it should work out quite nicely if you just do a straight line. Hopefully you can see that there. And then a black dot in the middle. Right, so I've gone for the dot on the eye. Just make sure you hit the top of the eyelid and then bring the dot down a bit. It's just trial and error, just stabbing your brush until you get a definite outline of the pupil. I've used the pastel blue mixed with a little bit of the Fenris grey to get an in-between sort of colour, because I can't really see what shoe she's got on the box art, but I presumed it would be something similar to that. I didn't want to go brown, because it looks like brown and white on the box art, so I've gone for a similar colour to the dress anyway. So just the hair to finish, and we'll pick out the highlights with the original base coat, which was Averland Sunset and Ushabti Bone. Okay, so I've got the original base coat now. It was about 50-50, I think. And you know the drill, it was picking out the raised areas and where I think the light is going to hit. You can pick out strands that you can see. The only thing is this one is slightly miscast on this side in there, so I'll try my best to get a couple of lines in there, but it's really rough and uneven. As long as we got an idea of a highlight, I think we'll be okay. And on the front of the face as well. So I've got ivory on my palette, so I'll add some ivory into the mix just to lighten it a bit instead of getting my Ushabti bone out again. And I'll do a second highlight. So I'll just stay on the bits that are able to catch the light from above. So it'll be the top of this curl, not down the bottom. Maybe a couple of strands there, but definitely the ponytail at the top. And here. And if you wanted to go a shade lighter, yeah, go for it. So yeah, I'll put some more ivory in there and thin it just a little bit. Ready for another pass. So the top bit there. And there. I'll just go for the top of the ponytail here. Right, I think we just need a highlight on the shoes and I think we're done. did the, just in case you didn't know, I did Mornfang Brown for the wand and added a little bit of ivory to it, and just put a couple of highlights on there, just towards the front, not towards the back. So, and I'll dull that down with a little bit of Agrax then. For the shoes, I've got the pastel blue now, and there's some jiggery pokery. I've added a little bit of ivory to it to get a highlight, and I'm just going to do the bows at the front. So if I refocus there we go. Just pull the pigment towards the front of the shoe, and the bows. Don't worry if it looks a bit stark, it will dry and fade a little bit. And I'll put a highlight at the back there. I forgot the lips, so what I'll do, I've got the original Kislev flesh, and I'll add that here. Maybe you won't need a lot because the lips are tiny. What I generally do is add a little bit of red to it, just to get like a soft pink colour, or darky, pinky, fleshy colour. Maybe a little bit more red actually. And I'll just apply that as a straight line across the lips. Once I get a decent point on my brush, just keep rolling it. Should do it. Zoom. Oh. Alright, apologies for that. So I may have to switch to a different brush. I'm on a size 1 here. I think I've got a nice point. I'll just catch the lips area. If you wanted to go more detail, I'd put a dark red line between the lips, and then once you do this colour you can add more flesh to it and just give the front of the lip a little highlight as well. But at this scale it really doesn't matter. So I'm going to try with a smaller brush. If I can find out where I put it. There we go. And we'll try that for a second pass. Yeah, much easier with a 00. I'm not going to bother highlighting it because we went in there with Mornfang Brown to start with. I think we've got a decent little bit of shade there, so happy with that. Okay, just to finish the base, and I think we're there. So if you've seen the tutorial I did with the Hogwarts board, I used oils to weather on top of like a Zandri dust colour. So I've got the Zandri dust there, and I'm going to apply the oils at the side here. These oil brushes are great. So that's black, and I'm going to add a little bit of green to it as well, because there's always here a little bit of green in the board. And I'll get my thinners ready. Use odorless thinners from MIG. Open it up, I'll use a flat brush. So I'll dip it in the thinners. And it's just a case of streaking, and you'll see that the oils then settle in the recesses then. And try not to get any on the shoes. And I'm going to leave it as that really. I'm a little bit thinner towards the front really, or the odd tile. Just to remove the oil a bit. So we get the odd dark one and the odd lighter one. And we'll leave that dry. Okay, there we are, finished, looking good on our base. Another one off the list. If there's anything you don't understand, please get in touch in the comments below. I'll try and help you out. If there's anything you'd like to see, please do the same. Get in touch in the comments. You can find me on Facebook as well through the Harry Potter support group on Facebook, or on Instagram with Dark Blades Workshop. Yeah, get in touch. I'd love to see you on there as well. Yeah, but that's it for now. I'd just like to say thanks again for the support so far on the channel. It's been amazing. Same again on Instagram. It's been, you know, superb really. And slowly it's starting to trickle across onto the Patreon account. The Patreon has got a few subscribers now, so I'm trying to build that. So the content may slow down on YouTube, but there's plenty of good stuff on Patreon coming up as well. So if you would please, you know, consider subscribing on Patreon, I'd be very grateful. It does enable me to make higher quality videos in the future. So that's the plan anyway. But anyway, thanks very much. Hope you enjoyed it. And for now, that's it from me. We'll see you in the next episode. Cheers.